The Yankees' 12-9 comeback win in Atlanta on Saturday wasn't short on fireworks, on the scoreboard or in the dugout. In the sixth inning, a spirited exchange between Jazz Chisholm Jr. and Braves coach Eddie Perez underscored just how high the stakes and tempers can run when teams are hanging on every pitch. Here's what happened, why it matters, and what it tells us about in-game gamesmanship in Major League Baseball. The incident. Signs, sacrifice fly, and shouting match. What we saw. With New York mounting a 4-run rally in the sixth, Anthony Volpe stood in scoring position, second base, as reliever Rafael Montero prepared to face him. Jazz Chisholm Jr., stationed at third base, used hand motions that mirrored how Volpe's teammate had tipped pitches in Seattle earlier in the week, signaling the type of offering Montero was about to throw. The result. Volpe turned on a 3-1 fastball for a sacrifice fly, cutting Atlanta's lead to 7-6 and fueling the Yankees' eventual walk-off push. The confrontation. After the pitch, cameras caught Chisholm engaging in a heated back-and-forth with Braves bench coach Eddie Perez, who appeared to point to his own head in a think gesture. Chisholm, clearly upset, later relayed to teammates that Perez was implying Chisholm was somehow mentally unwell for calling pitches. Hadashar 2. What both sides are saying. Eddie Perez, I was telling him to think because I saw him giving signs from the base, Perez told reporters. He insisted he wasn't accusing Chisholm of anything personal, just calling out the act of relaying pitch information. Yankees manager. I know they were saying some things that will probably be looked at and should be, Boone said. He declined to detail any potential protest, but acknowledged that both teams would review what happened. Jazz Chisholm Jr. After the game, Chisholm offered no comment. His visible frustration, however, spoke volumes. He leaned into the dugout and animatedly pointed back at Perez and his think gesture. The rules around sign stealing. Legal versus illegal. Legal. Any on-field player or coach may attempt to decode a catcher's or pitcher's signs and relay them by hand signals or shouting, so long as only on-field personnel are involved. Illegal. Use of electronic devices, video rooms, or outside helpers for sign stealing crosses the line, as outlined in MLB's 2020 crackdown. Precedent. Earlier in the series, the Yankees famously exploited Mariners closer Andres Munoz's tipping tendencies by relaying pitch type to batters, an entirely legal maneuver that nonetheless drew ire from opposing dugouts. 4. Why this matters. 1. Momentum swing. Correctly guessing and signaling a pitch can turn the tide in a close game. In this case, the Yankees' rally eventually outlasted Atlanta's offense. 2. Dugout diplomacy. Even legal gamesmanship can spark bench-clearing talk and potential protests. Managers and umpires often step in to calm down frayed tempers or interpret whether an on-field gesture crossed the line into unsportsmanlike conduct. 3. Psychological edge. For a young roster like the Yankees, demonstrating both savvy and fearlessness, Chisholm's willingness to test Perez's patience can bolster clubhouse confidence and send a message around the league. Yankees, bullpen health. Rookie Cam Schlittler will slot back into the rotation Tuesday if his bicep soreness continues to improve. Other arms, Max Fried, Luis Gil, are on rehab timelines. Prospect moves. Catcher Rafael Flores just headed to AAA, and righty Alan Winans is on the MLB roster, emphasizing New York's depth shuffle ahead of the August 1st trade deadline.
Break.
Maintaining focus. Atlanta must balance the distraction of in-game confrontations with the grind of a pennant race. Coaches like Perez will need to coach through their frustrations without derailing on-field performance. Bottom line. In baseball's long tradition of cat-and-mouse duels, sign stealing remains a perfectly legal and often decisive part of the game plan. But as Jazz Chisholm Jr. and Eddie Perez demonstrated, the line between legitimate tactics and perceived disrespect is razor thin. Saturday's spat in Atlanta was a reminder that even under today's spotlight of instant replay and analytics, a simple hand signal can ignite old-school bench drama and shift the momentum of a pennant-chasing contest. Below is a more in-depth, roughly 3-minute read on the bench signaling incident between Yankees third baseman Jazz Chisholm Jr. and Braves coach Eddie Perez, plus the broader context around tipping signs and New York's pitching staff updates. Yankees versus Braves. Sign tipping kerfuffle erupts in Atlanta. Atlanta, in a 12-9 comeback victory over the Atlanta Braves on Friday night, the New York Yankees not only rallied late, but also found themselves at the center of a clubhouse firestorm, this time over signaling tactics and a heated exchange between Jazz Chisholm Jr. and Braves bench coach Eddie Perez. 1. What happened on the field? Late inning rally, trailing 7-2 in the sixth inning, the Yankees put together a 4-run outburst. Anthony Volpe's sacrifice fly capped the frame and brought the score to 7-6. Chisholm's role? While wearing the third base guard, Jazz Chisholm Jr. was seen using discreet hand signals, similar to those that alerted New York's hitters to Seattle reliever Andres Munoz's tipping tendencies earlier this month. Those motions appeared aimed at letting batters know whether a fastball or off-speed pitch was coming. Perez's reaction. From the Braves' dugout, veteran coach Eddie Perez gestured emphatically at Chisholm and pointed to his head. Chisholm took exception, exchanging words with Perez before returning to the Yankees bench to relay the incident to teammates. Sign tipping, legal, but controversial. Rulebook stance. Major League Baseball rules do not forbid using visual cues, whether from the dugout or the base paths, to decode an opponent's signs. When a pitcher unintentionally tips his pitches, savvy teams will look to exploit it. Ethics debate. Both managers and league officials have lamented how tipping scandals sour the game's spirit. Aaron Boone, New York's skipper, told reporters, "They were saying some things that will probably be looked at and should be," signaling that MLB may review the incident. Historical precedent. Only last week, the Yankees exposed Mariners' closer Munoz's tipping, then promptly made the necessary scouting report adjustments to neutralize him. This latest flare-up suggests clubs are now hypersensitive to any sign decoding maneuvers. 3. Voices from both sides. I saw him giving signs from second base and was just telling him to think, Perez said after the game. I wasn't talking about hitting him in the head. Aaron Boone. I'm not entirely sure what was going on, Boone admitted. We know it should be looked at. Jazz Chin declined comment post-game, though he confided to teammates that he felt Perez was questioning his baseball IQ. 4. Yankees pitching update. Amid the drama, the team also provided updates on its pitching staff health and depth. Cam Schlittler. The rookie right-hander was scratched from Friday's start due to mild bicep soreness. He threw a bullpen session on Saturday and should slot back into the rotation against Toronto if all goes well. Very insignificant, Schlittler said of the inflammation. The veteran southpaw is awaiting a test bullpens on Sunday to see if a blister-injured finger has healed. If so, he'll make Wednesday's start in Atlanta. On a rehab assignment, Gill's first outing was encouraging. He sat 95 miles per hour and showed good command. He'll likely make one more AAA start before rejoining the Bronx staff later this month. Catcher depth. With the season's trade deadline approaching, the Yankees also promoted top-hitting AA backstop Rafael Flores, 15 homers, .841 OPS, to AAA. He's now on MLB teams' radars as a potential trade chip. Hot 5. What's next? MLB review. Both dugouts expect MLB to examine Friday's incident, potentially issuing guidance or warnings to prevent sign tipping spats from escalating further. Series finale. The Yankees and Braves conclude the set Saturday night. New York will turn to their veteran bullpen to protect a slim lead and hopefully avoid any more bench fireworks. Takeaway: what began as a textbook example of exploiting a pitcher's tipping habits ended with a very public dust-up between Jazz Chisholm Jr. and Eddie Perez. Another reminder that in today's game, the mental chess match over signs can be just as heated as the action on the diamond.